Hello friends, and thank you for joining me. This is David Ha'ivri, Israel tour guide. Today we are at Mount Gerizim, the holy place for the Samaritan people. This is an Israel National Park Society site. This is the main entrance. You come through here, you ride up the hill, you stop at the ticket office and buy your tickets, and then you can enter the park. And on some days they have local guides guiding the group, or you can come with your own guide, or you can rent a audio guide on the site, or even download an audio guide for you on your phone. So let's take a walk around and see what it's all about. Here we got the ticket office. We ride into the site. There's a parking area right over here, and below us to the left we can see the Samaritan neighborhood Kiryat Luz, which is also on Mount Gerizim, and we can see ruins of the ancient neighborhoods that existed here on Mount Gerizim in the Roman times. This was a huge city and a very wealthy neighborhoods of the priests, of the Kohanim, of the Samaritan temple. And just beyond the archaeological site you can see the town of Har Bracha, which means Mount Blessing. That's an Israeli town that some call settlements. That's an Israeli town called Har Bracha, which is also on Mount Gerizim. And further, just past Har Bracha, you can see another Israeli town called Yitzhar. Yitzhar is on the hill past and south of Har Bracha. And then south of Har Bracha, you can see a city, which is Ariel. Ariel is, you can see here, south of Har Bracha. And if it was a clear day, we could even see Jerusalem from here. But now, let's take a look at the archaeological site of Mount Gerizim. And we'll take a real quick run through while I am getting ready to give a real tour of the site. Well, this is a real tour too, but I'll be meeting real people on the ground, people who have come here for a tour. Today is Friday, and the National Parks Society has hired me to give tours at 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock to people who visit the site, at no additional charge to the guests. Here's the sign with all of the rules for the site. As you can see, the sign is in Hebrew, English, and Arabic, and it notes that this is the Israel Nature National Parks Protection Authority, Har Gerizim site. Now we're going to walk into the site. You can see here to our right the fenced-in area is the Isaac's altar, the altar of Isaac, according to the Samaritan tradition. And now we're going to walk over to the wine press, which is from the Byzantine time, from the Roman Byzantine time period, which is about the 4th or 5th century Common Era. And this is one of the archaeological finds that has been protected, found, and preserved. This deck was built in order to allow visitors to come closer to see how the wine press actually looked. Some of this has been rebuilt or preserved in order for guests to understand how it works, how it worked in ancient times. You can see the mosaic floors of the wine press and the carved stone for pressing the grapes and collecting the grape juice that would be made into wine. We're going to continue running around the archaeological site. Now, facing to the east, we can see the Mahmetet Valley, and we can see the town of Itamar. And beyond the mountains, closer to us, we can see the mountains of Jordan on the other side of the Jordan River. Here we have the Gvaot Olam site. According to the Samaritan tradition, many of the biblical events occurred here on Mount Gerizim, contrary to Jewish traditions where the same events occurred at other places. This is also part of the archaeological site that has been excavated. There was an Israeli archaeologist who dug here for 20 years. His name was Yitzhak Magen, Dr. Yitzhak Magen of the Israeli Antiquities Agency, that here in Judea and Samaria was part of the civil administration. And the wall that we see in front of us is part of the Byzantine church. The Byzantine church from the 4th and 5th and 6th century Common Era. The Byzantine Christians built this church on top of the site of the Samaritan temple that stood here in the Hellenistic period, 2,500 years ago. In front of us again we can see the Samaritan neighborhood, Kiryat Luz, and further in the distance behind the trees, that magnificent building is a mansion of a Palestinian businessman whose name is Moni Ben Maseri. He is not a Samaritan, he is a Palestinian, a Muslim. He is from a family from the city of Shechem, Nablus, which is below. You can see the city below us in the valley. That is the city of Shechem, or Nablus. And here we can see the 12 stones. According to the Samaritan tradition, these are the 12 stones that the children of Israel brought up from the Jordan River when they crossed the Jordan River. According to the archaeologist Yitzhak Magen, this is the western wall of the Samaritan temple itself that was destroyed. So there is a different opinions, conflict of opinions between the Samaritan narrative of their own history and the archaeological scientific evidence. Now we've entered the archaeological site of the Byzantine church, and we'll just take a quick run around to see what has remained and been preserved here. This is part of what we see when we visit this site. You can see the ancient floor, stone floor, all made of limestone marble. It's a local type of stone carved out of the hill here. This entire compound is from the Byzantine time, aside for the square building in front of us, which is the grave of Sheikh Renem, who was one of the commanders of Saladin, who captured the land of Israel in the 11th century, 11th or 12th century. So, alright, I'm going to flip over the camera and sum up this tour. Okay, my friends, I hope that you enjoyed this tour on Mount Gerizim at the Samaritan holy place. I would be glad to see any questions that you might have. Feel free to write them in the comment section, and I will do my best to respond. You can ask me about this tour and about any other tours that you see on my channel, or make suggestions about other tours that you would like to see on my channel. So be well, and shalom from Mount Gerizim.